That's interesting, Julie. And I just came back from California a couple months ago, and on the Pasadena area. Pasadena is right outside of Los Angeles, and then there's all these other small little towns around Pasadena. One is called San Marino. You know, people will pay 40% more for real estate in San Marino just to be able to go to for their children to go to the school system than they will in the surrounding towns. 40% more for the same home,
half a house,
to be able to get into that school system. So that's very valuable information to know which school systems are performing well, the MCAS scores, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I would have to think that the school systems for people obviously who have children have to be one of the primary considerations when they're buying, right?
Absolutely.
You know, so it would be not only, you know, the home and the neighborhood, and does the home meet the qualifications in terms of number of bedrooms and the size of the lot. All that stuff obviously is very important. But I would think for many people the school system's right at the top.
Absolutely.
And then of course I think another thing that also comes into play is youth activities. Like you mentioned, you were a youth coach, you're doing Special Olympics. So having knowledge about those things, I think, is another thing that kind of sets you apart than some of the other people.
Yeah, I mean, people want to know, excuse me, about the community they're getting into, whether they're going to get involved in it or not. Excuse me. But you know, when talking about neighborhoods too, that is one thing to go back to talking about marketing a home. You know, we talk about nosy neighbors, and we can call them nosy neighbors, but they're actually a phenomenal tool.
Yes, they are.
And you know, it's not uncommon for, you know, John, if I was selling your house, that your cousin that comes to see you every weekend's loved that neighborhood, you know, or the neighbor's cousin who's come every weekend's loved that neighborhood. So what we do is we send out information and make phone calls to the neighborhood to say, here's information on the property, here's a flyer on the property, so anybody's coming who's curious, we provide them with the information. And that's really what
you have a
buyers
series of letters too that you send out to the neighborhood as well.
Absolutely. So
well, I can vouch for this, because when I sold my last home, as soon as we decided to sell, the next door neighbor came over and said, you know, I have a friend who's always wanted to live in the neighborhood, she's always loved your home. I'm telling you, within a day, she was in our house. You know, looking at it. Now it didn't work out because it wasn't an exact match what they were looking for in a home. But that's how powerful marketing to the neighborhood is. And sometimes people say, well, I'm not so sure I want a sign in front of my property. But that's a very effective tool as well to get.
Well, you know, I've had people say, I don't want a sign. I don't want to broadcast to everybody that I'm selling. And I say,
yes, you do.
I do. That's my job. I do. You know, and there are several tools in selling a house, and one might be the key for one home, and one's different for the next, but that's why we do it all for all of them, so we hit all those.